Greetings, YouTube, and welcome to episode 357 of the 4,000 Question Challenge, and a caliber that I had a fascination with as a kid. Something about the 357 Magnum fascinated me, more so even in the more classical 44 or the 41. Though I think the 41 is probably the most useful, got a lot of kick, isn't as oppressive as the 44, still gets the job done. Though the 357, admittedly, still packs a wallet. Always had a fascination with the 357. Do you and your family attend religious services? I did as a kid. I don't now. Would you ever boycott a product, service, movie, book, or play for a religious reason? That's intriguing because I have boycotted those things because of the religion of another person. Not because they had a religion, but because they used their religion as a justification for their bigotry. So what I was really boycotting was their bigotry. And it just happened to be that they were using theistic justifications for that bigotry. So, yes, I guess. What were the most important religious holidays in your childhood home? Yeah, Christmas, Easter. That was the big ones. How important would you say religion is in your life? I consider myself to be a spiritual religious person. I consider myself engaged in those activities every day. I wear holy symbols every single day. These don't ever come off my body unless medical necessity requires them to. Um, so yeah, I consider myself to be a spiritual slash religious person. What was your religious training growing up? Well, I was raised as a Catholic, and I became an atheist at 5, and I left the church at 14, and that's where my religious connection to organized religion ends. Boom, gone, never again. I've been to services since then, for weddings and funerals and things like that. I was at one once because I wanted to go see my friend play handbells at Christmas, and it was really quite nice. Excuse me. So yeah, so no religious real training beyond that. Oh, but I have mentioned this before, but I was a member of the Catholic Church for 14 years officially. 14 years. And at no point was I ever asked to open a Bible. Not once. Um, what is a concern you have about your spiritual life? A concern? Like, do I consider something about my life, my spiritual life, a negative? Well, since I've crafted my spiritual life and adapted it to my changing worldview as the time's gone by, there's no concerns I have. And if find there's something to be concerned about, I will change that thing because I am a dynamic progressive and I am not part of some dogmatic organized religion. Sorry. Have you had any telepathic or paranormal experiences? Yes, I have in my life. What are your church memories from childhood? Boredom! So much boredom. And once I began to realize that I was attracted to women, scoping out women. I spent lots of time in church checking out women. I sure did. As a kid, I had a thing for older women. I'd check out older women. Um, and then when I realized that my cohort would also eventually be women shaped, I began to scope out them. It's like, hey, these kids are starting to look, these like 12, 13, 14. I started realizing that they're going to be adults someday. I'm the same age as them. So I started scoping them out, just like we all began to have romantic and attractive entanglements when we were in the 12 to 14 year bracket. Or at least unless you're asexual, and I apologize. Didn't mean to make a blanket statement there. So that were my activities in church. Do you believe all religions are basically the same? Hell no, I don't. I believe that they are is important for the believers, but I don't believe it's all. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard people who are Christian say, oh, it's all the same. They're all the same source. That's bullshit. You're trying to assert religious hegemony over the world at large. Don't devalue someone else's faith because you want to pretend it's like yours. Everyone's faith is unique. Again, if there's 7 billion people on the planet, it should be 7 billion and one spiritual beliefs. And the last question for episode 357 is, what was the role of prayer in your childhood home? I have we said meal prayers when I was a kid because we were raised Catholic, and I can remember being forced to say, prayers at bedtime, which is when I became an atheist at 5. I realized I was talking to the ceiling. So yeah, I had things like that, but that was it. We were not the particular brand of Christianity that did a lot of in group prayer and a lot of things like that. That didn't happen. No, it was very Catholic Church is very top down kind of thing. So thank you for being here for episode 357 of the 4,000 question challenge. I hope that you will be here for episode 358.